Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 16th Annual EA User Conference. My name is Tania Leil O'Brien, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Environics Analytics. On behalf of the entire team, it is my pleasure to welcome you, both in person and those of you joining us on the live stream all across Canada. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. At EA, we have the privilege of working with data every day. Markets are growing, they're changing, and the data that sit within it are more complex, diverse, and insightful than ever before. Today, we share remarkable stories about how organizations are using data to find new customers, to provide better public services, and to bring innovation into the market, and we can hardly wait to begin. Before we get started, I wanted to run through how today will work. We will spend the first part of the morning here in the plenary session. Then over the break, we will move to breakout sessions. For those joining us via the live feed, you'll rejoin us at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for Doug Norris's census update. For those in person, 2 walls will be closing between to make 3 breakout rooms. We'll take a brief break every time this happens just to ensure everyone's safety. Emergency exits are illuminated by the green signs you see around the room. Washrooms are at the far end of the foyer. And in the foyer, you'll also find our demonstration area, where you can learn more about all our data products that can help you better understand changing demographics, consumer behavior, and mobile movement. You will find agendas on each table and also on the app, which I hope you've all had a chance to download. There are over 900 of us here today. And I don't know about any of you, but this is definitely the largest crowd I've been in for over 2 years. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We especially want to thank our presenters for providing us with such rich content. In recognition of our gratitude, we will be making a donation in your name to Let's Talk Science. It's a national organization that works with youth to engage and educate them on STEM-related disciplines. We would also like to recognize some of the major associations who are with us today. The Canadian Marketing Association, the Interactive Advertising Bureau, and the Retail Council of Canada. Each are doing important policy work to ensure that we have a healthy system that works for all stakeholders. Please support them if you do not do that already. We would also like to welcome industry media, including DM News and Brunico Communications, publisher of Media in Canada and Strategy. With such an incredible group of leaders in the room, I know that our networking sessions will be as robust as the presentations. And without further ado, it's my great privilege to introduce Jan Kessel. Now, normally at this point, I would list through some career highlights, but if we did that with Jan, I don't think we'd ever get to our incredible sessions. To say she's a pioneer in statistics and analytics would be an understatement of her accomplishments and impact around the world. Her transformational leadership has contributed to the prosperity of all, both in our businesses and in our communities. In fact, this week, Jan was recognized on ESOMAR's Insights 250 list as one of the 250 leaders globally contributing to enterprise intelligence and data-driven marketing. Congratulations, Jan. Jan lives by one of her favorite quotes from Wayne Gretzky: "Skate to where the puck is going, not to where it's been." Jan, we can hardly wait to hear your thoughts on where we are going next. Please join me in welcoming Jan Kessel.
Well, thank you, Tania, and thank you for that very warm and generous introduction. You know, I believe that you can really explain and understand the whole world with statistics and math, and sometimes I'm in a minority, but when I'm with you guys, I feel pretty comfortable. So it's my pleasure to talk to you about some of the things that we've got going and to think a little bit about where we've come from. It's great to be together in person. I'm having trouble with this, so tell me if you can't hear me because it keeps dropping. I'll try not to touch it. It's great to be together in person. It's a long time since that's happened. And even though we met last year and the year before virtually, there's nothing like being in the room and brainstorming together. It's really important that you're going to hear the stories of, I think it's 16 or 18 of our customers talking about what they did. And as Tania said, we appreciate so much your willingness to share with others your experiences, because it is complicated to incorporate data into your day-to-day lives. You know, data, I was saying this morning, they're like raw materials, but turning it into information that enables you to take action and make a difference for your business and your organization is something that we're all under extreme pressure to do. Investments are being made, and we have to show the organizations that we're affiliated with that data make a difference, and they make a difference to people's lives. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that have happened in the last year, and they only give me 50 minutes. I could go on all day, so remind me if I go on too long. And many, many people have contributed. Some people think, well, that's Environics, that's the data company, that's Environics Analytics, they're the PRISM people. But in fact, we've evolved and transformed our business several times in the past 20 years. And those of us who did it for longer, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that history, I've seen the data business in Canada transform itself and reinvent itself, which is really important because the outside world is changing. And if we stay in the past, then we really aren't going to be relevant. But if we don't build on the past, then we're going to throw away some of that rich underpinnings of the kinds of things that we have the opportunity to do now more than ever. Throughout the day, you'll meet various people in our organization, but I want to take a minute to acknowledge someone who unfortunately isn't here because he's ill, but who has made, probably you wouldn't meet and wouldn't necessarily associate with the great work that EA is doing, but it's a Bell colleague who has worked tirelessly for many years to think about transforming Bell's data and making it usable and actionable. And that's Matt Alexander from Bell Media, who's kind of the glimmer behind what we could do together and has worked tirelessly to help us get to some of the new products that you're going to hear about today. So Matt, when you see the live stream, I hope you're feeling better, and thank you so much for working with us and helping us use the data that we have at our disposal to do great things. So there's a lot of you here. We had over 900 people register, and there's just a glimmer of the names of the brands and organizations who've come out. We have people from all industries. We have people who are working on different applications, and we have data scientists, engineers, quantitative geographers, marketers, ad buyers, agencies, and you're all part of that community that's working to make things better for your businesses, but also for Canada by using great data and the best practices in analytics. As I said before, for me, having been around, well, I have to admit it, for 5 decades, I've seen the industry change in terms of its use and its appreciation for data. And at the risk of, I think Rupen's going to throw stuff at me if I go too far back, but I just want to remind you of the foundation, because for me, the success of what we've been able to do as a community is to build on top of what we did before and not always lurch to every shiny new object, but find a way to bring new technologies and new data sources and new ways of thinking. I mean, what we're really trying to do, all of you in the work that we do together, is simulate reality so that we can understand from the past, understand what's going to be different, and figure out what we need to do to build our organizations for the future. So, in the 70s, it was a big deal when we were able to get small area demographics from governments, and this happened in the US and the UK and in Canada. and we were able to turn that into a commercial off-the-shelf segmentation system. First one we did for Canada was called Lifestyles, and it stuck around for more than 10 years. And then in the 80s, we had this great aha moment where you could actually bring together great research from market research and from surveys, and you could use the geodemographic method, which is still many proprietary algorithms that we've developed and many theories that are written in the academic literature. But what we were able to do, and others, was take great survey data that could give you information about Canada and the provinces and the major markets, and actually use that information to project what people who lived in a small area, a neighborhood, or a postal code were likely to do. And that unlocked an incredible amount of data that was available for local marketing. And it also enabled us to use that data eventually with customer data, which came in the 90s. It's only in the 90s when organizations had the opportunity to really mine customer data, the era of the CRM. Of course, people told CompuSearch in those days, well, you're dead, nobody's going to buy that postal code stuff, because now we have real data. But the reality is, the more that people had data and unlocked data about their customers and their donors and their citizens and their community members, the more they used third-party data to understand untapped potential, to understand their share of wallet, to understand sponsorship opportunities, and to understand more about the kind of customers that they had and what they wanted to get. So it's exciting for me to step back and look at this evolution where more and many different kinds of data are coming together. We consider that our mandate to you know, I get frustrated when I get into this conversation with someone, well, this kind of data is better than that kind of data. You know, what is the purpose? What is the cost? What is the budget? And so the real purpose is to use the right data for the right analysis and put it together in a way that's meaningful and means that you can actually go and make a difference. And boy, do we have an opportunity to really do that now. When we partnered with the Environics Research Company at the beginning of our company, they brought to the table their great social values data, which meant that we could actually include in our segmentation of neighborhoods and postal codes values and attitudes. And it's never been more important than now to get the right message. And we have a data-driven way to understand people's values and attitudes and how they feel about government and how they feel about what's happening in the rest of the world, and whether they're into consumption or whether they're into leading a different kind of lifestyle. And you know, sometimes I think we're guilty of the shiny new object thing, because the social values that we built into PRISM, the first geodemographic system in Canada that incorporated demographics and behavior and actual psychographics, which we did 20 years ago, it's still something that's extremely important in the new digital ecosystem. We really can get the right message to the right people. And so we're kind of hammering on the agencies to say, take advantage of this. It's great to use the data that we have for activation, but you should be using it for creative messaging to really make sure that you're getting at the motivators. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about that later. And then, of course, we have the 2020s. The era of big data. We started talking about it, I think, 7 years ago with that big McKinsey report, but lots of stuff has happened, and it changes everything for everybody. It's particularly changed for us because we've had access to big data from some external sources. Everyone knows we work with the privacy-compliant permission cell phone data that we were getting from aggregators based on apps. Now we have the opportunity to use a variety of other kinds of passively collected breadcrumb-like big data, and it gives us the opportunity to look at things that are more up to date and to look at things weekly and monthly instead of looking at them annually and quarterly. And we're going to talk to you a lot more today about what we're doing. But the foundation that we have through going from the very beginnings has really given us a lot of insight into the kind of methodologies that you need to harness big data. The articles and the books that were written at the beginning that said, well, the data are so big it's going to answer all our questions and we don't need surveys and we don't even need, somebody even said we don't even need the census anymore. But the reality is the ability to make big data representative and usable and actionable and accurate is dependent on bringing the old methodologies into the new reality. And that's been a very exciting part of what we've worked on in the past year. So this is a timeline. I'll be happy to share it because it's going to be hard to read. But what it tells is the story from our perspective. Starting up in 2003, all these databases that I list up there are available from us now. And what I'm showing you here is each year what we introduced. So we started with PRISM, and then we built the detailed demographics. And then every year we added some new databases based on partnerships. So we brought the media data from Vividata and Numeris, and we brought in the financial monitor data from Ipsos. And then we added our own wealth model, and we brought Origins that enabled us to look at cultural diversity. We brought the auto data originally from Polk and then later from Experian. We brought community health information, traffic counts, age by income, shopping data, crime data, neighborhood view, which is the aggregate credit data from Equifax, and so on. All of these databases are available for all of Canada, and they're available right down to the postal code level, and they're high-quality databases that are integrated not only into our software, but now integrated into the digital ecosystem of Canada. So the databases that we produce from other people's sources are based on methodologies and IP that we create, and what we do is we continue to fill in these gaps. And you can see on the bottom right of my chart how many more things we're working on, and these are things that you've asked us for. So we're very excited about not only the new data, but how it works together with the old data, hopefully to make it easy for you. I would say that, and don't take this negatively, but I would say that when I look at our entire customer base, probably the most of our customers are not leveraging all the data that you have and that we have. And so what we're really committed to doing is helping you figure out what kind of data answer what business questions, and how you can find the data in your own shops and bring it together with our data and other people's data and analytical processes to make sure that we don't end up in a few years with CEOs and CFOs saying, well, I bought a lot of data and I bought a lot of software and I hired all those data scientists, but has it improved my bottom line? We need to have an enterprise-wide, executive-led data strategy that you guys have to be supported in, and you have to have that investment, and you have to have that opportunity to make the data really make a difference for you. As I mentioned when I went through, it's a partnership game for us. All of the data that we produce has influence from others. The resulting products are our intellectual property because of the modeling, because of the value add. Some of the databases we actually build from the ground up, but we have leveraged in partnership with many partners who are also here today, data from all of the important media and marketing databases in Canada in order to be able to bring you them integrated in a seamless system so you don't have to do that work yourself. So as I mentioned, from our foundation of geodemography, we've built a business that sometimes people don't even think has anything to do with geography. But I'll bet you if I asked for a show of hands, a third of the people in the room would have some training in geography. It's kind of the secret sauce behind what we do. Because it is true that everything happens somewhere and birds of a feather flock together, and that geography really matters. Because we can make inferences about what people are likely to do, read, watch, buy, based on where they live. And now that we can combine first-party data into that, first-party data you have, and first-party data that other organizations have, we can actually go from location to eyeballs. And we can use the geographic method of tying things together. Now, somebody will come and tell me, and I've had some of the lectures. I'm not a geographer myself, but I've got many of them who work for me who will remind me that, well, it's not always true. Maybe there's 5% of the cases of people in my postal code who aren't quite like that. Or maybe if you want to attach the information on in terms of audiences that we want to target in programmatic, it's not quite a one-to-one. But if you do it effectively and you use it at the level of geography where it's appropriate, and you add up the behavior of hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of people, statistically you get great results. And you know what? Until we solve all of the tech problems, which we're all working on, there's no better way right now to fuse disparate data together across the omni-channel, across different kinds of media, and get a 360-degree view of your customer. So we still support the quantitative geography method and integrate it into the data science work that we're doing with big data. But for the future, we're going to build on top of that, as I said at the beginning. Our commitment is to build more data and better data, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. To make the analytics accessible and make it really usable. And to do this, addressing the unique requirements that exist in Canada. And we're also investing more money in actually having experienced consultants on our team to help you on your journey. Of course, for those of you who work with our account teams and our practices, we have groups focused on each industry who are very experienced and understand the industries that they work in. But we're adding another layer of consultants who can actually help you get your stakeholders together and understand the business problem you're trying to solve and understand which tools are appropriate and actually help you create that roadmap so that you can put those strategies together, and you can ensure that at the other end of your work, you're going to measure your results, and you're going to show that the data made a difference in your business, that people who drove by a billboard or saw your ad on TV or saw the ad served to them on their phone, we're going to know with a high level of precision, did it work? Who responded? Who came in the store? Who went to my website, who actually purchased. This combination of bringing all these databases together from the rich sources that are available with partnerships, it's going to finally give us that holy grail of return on investment for insights, for targeting, for segmentation, for personification, for media mix optimization, hey, the things we love to do. We're going to actually be able to prove that it's made a difference. And that's because technology and data are coming together to the point where it can actually happen. So, more data and better and faster. You've heard about two products that we've launched, I hope. One called Clickscapes, the other called Footfall. We call it Clicks and Bricks. It's showing on a weekly basis who goes into my store, who goes to my website, or who goes to my competitor's website. These are data that we're harnessing from the telecom network, following all the laws, being completely transparent about how we do it, and using our best practice to model the data so that it's representative of the population, and so that we pick it up every morning in huge, what they call Amazon buckets, and then we do a ton of statistical work and processing on it, and we make it available to you 5 days later through Envision, so you can actually see what's happening in much closer to real time. So that's Clickscapes and Footfall, which have recently been released. We're about to release a product called Mover Stats, which is going to tell you at the neighborhood level who moved from one neighborhood to another. So this is a chart that shows the municipalities in the Greater Toronto area, and it's showing you the percent of households that are now living in a different residence. These are people who moved in from outside the city or from across the street, but an amazing way to catch up also in near real time, in a much closer to real time way, to understand what the movement is at the neighborhood level, also coming from the big data sources. We recently released Workplace Now, which shows, of course we love to show it in a map, but what it shows is the areas where people are actually, the number of days that have people people days, I'm going to call them, and this is at the FSA level, but you can drive it down further. So you can see on this map of Montreal that the red areas, they're indexing high. That means that there's more people working there than there were in January of 2020. And the blue areas are the areas which we all have heard about and are thinking about from a real estate and a restaurant and a retail point of view. These are areas where people used to work, and they're not going back to work so much. Once again, this is being produced in a short time frame and being available to you through our tools. Also recently launched a product called New to Canada. So we know that we're going to have 400,000 immigrants or more every year for the next number of years, and we know what these immigrants are contributing to the economy, and we also know that they're looking for goods and services that all of you provide. And we have used a feed from the government that's showing us the countries and regions of origins so that we can look on a quarter-by-quarter basis and see not only where they're coming from, but where they're going, and which groups are predominantly settling in which neighborhoods in order to drive the delivery of products and services. So those are some examples of what I call more data, better data, and data faster. We also have to make sure that we deliver those data to you in a way that make them really actionable and understandable. So you know our Envision platform, about more than half of our organizations use it. You don't have to. Sometimes people take the data and build it into your own tools. But the important thing for us as well is that we add what I call the workflows and the reports that really make sense. Just a couple of examples here of how a financial institution's data can be combined with our data to show the relationship between groups of customers that are heavy buyers for a certain kind of product, and compare that to the share of wallet. So this kind of battlegram, these are embedded. You'll see this afternoon, we're embedding more of these kinds of summary analytical products into Envision. So you can take the data out and beat the heck out of it yourself with all kinds of tools. But what we've learned over the years is when we build data, it helps you, if we're prescriptive, about giving you the math. We used to say, we love data so you don't have to. We say we put the math, we embed the math on a chip so that you don't have to figure out the right formulas for creating these indicators. You have a job to do, you have to run a program, you have to deliver services. So we're embedding as much of the best practice of analytics for the industries that we serve right into the software, so you can get reports like this at the push of a button or with a few clicks. Now on the other side, showing how, when I show you our databases, I can show you those, 25 different databases that we produce and update all the time. But you don't have the time to put them all together. So the example of the dashboard on the other side is dashboards that bring data from disparate sources. This one's looking at health and welfare, and including some variables from the health surveys. And it's creating an index from multiple sources and multiple variables to show a social vulnerability index. And this could be for a geography, like an area, or it could be for a group of your customers, or it could be for a group of prospective customers. So point here is, as much as we're happy to ship the data out to you, we also feel it's our responsibility to make it usable and understandable and accessible to you easily. And not just for big business. Small businesses have really been affected in the last number of years by COVID, and what's happening in the future is still a challenge for them. So we've been involved in a number of initiatives, including the Main Street Canada initiative that was part of a government-supported program to make our product Spotlight, which is really, to be honest with you, a light version of Envision that allows you to put a dot on a map, define a trade area in a number of different ways that you're all familiar with, and get reports out. So for $300 or $3,000 to get regular reports about small areas, it makes the great data that we have accessible to small and medium businesses. Now you can't upload your own data, and you can't bring in mobile movement data, and you can't bring in a lot of our survey partners, but still the efforts to make data available to small businesses and to BIAs and to entrepreneurs to help them be more data-driven has been a very important part of our work this past year. So we bring all this data together, we try to provide you with the workflows that we think you ought to use, and we constantly work to make the data integrated. And as I've already spent some time on, we make it integrated in two ways. We make it integrated by geography, because we can tie it back to that spot on the ground. And then we also provide all those databases through the lens of PRISM. And I've been involved in many, many initiatives over the past decades of how we're going to fuse all Canada's data together, how we're going to get, the data from these great disparate sources to work together. And, I guess I'm a little biased because I think you can solve a lot of problems with data, but I know you can't solve them all. But when you look at your customers and locations and custom digital audiences, and you look at multimedia, you can make sense of a lot of things if you look at it through the lens of PRISM, which is linked to all of those databases and linked to your data, and now linked to that digital ecosystem. So while we work to provide the all singing, all dancing technology that's going to link everything together, we think that PRISM has become more and more important to being the lingua franca that translates different kinds of data and enables you to make good decisions. And here's the other thing that I mentioned earlier is about really bringing in the values so that not only can we link and execute, but we can make sure that we're getting the right message to the right people. You've seen these kinds of reports before. 8 segments who are heavy consumers compared to average of electric vehicles. And what we can see is they divide into 2 kind of different groups. The top 4 segments purchase electric vehicles because they are concerned about legacy, which means the climate and looking after the planet. But they also are more discriminating consumers. They want to make sure that they're spending their money wisely, and they want to know that they're being good corporate citizens. Whereas the group across the bottom are much more looking at these kinds of vehicles for status recognition. And they believe the messages that's coming through in advertising. These are examples of those social values that can be used to get your message right to different people. So we want the data to be integrated, we want it to be actionable, and we really want it to help you get into the hearts and minds of people to help them make a decision to engage with your organization. I mentioned before that a key thing for us was to have PRISM out there in the ecosystem. Now, 5 years ago, I was, pretty intransigent about this. We didn't give our data to platforms and agencies and publishers. We thought, well, we just do it all ourselves. But we changed that when we understood that there needed to be a solution, particularly in Canada. There needed to be a way to look at groups of consumers and individual consumers across different media channels. And so in the past 5 years, I'm very proud to say that PRISM and some of our other data are now embedded in all of these DSPs with these publishers, media planners, agencies, the whole digital ecosystem, and out-of-home, digital out-of-home. So when you've finished your great work of insights of understanding your customers and locations, and you want to buy media, you want to really reach out and reach the right people and spend the right dollar against the potential, we now have these partnerships, and you're going to hear more about the partnerships with digital activation in our second session this morning. But I'm so excited, and I want to say I'm so appreciative to many people in the room who beat me over the head and said, your data's not that useful unless you put it out there. And so many people stepped up and worked with us so that we would be able to put our data into the Canadian ecosystem, and there's lots more to come. Finally, I want to talk to you a little bit about an initiative that we're working on, that is going to make this whole process more end-to-end, more holistic for you, and also more measurable. And that's what we call our efforts to build a clean room or clean rooms for Canada. And there's a lot of stuff being written in the marketing literature about clean rooms, and in the narrowest definition, it means that you can leverage your first-party data better and leverage it with other partners. So two retailers can look at the overlap of their customers, or a brand and the publisher or a programmatic agency can look at, the opportunity to use different kinds of activation tools in order to reach the people that are most relevant to them. You can look at the white space. But there's challenges in combining disparate sets of first-party data. We used to say, mainly in Canada, but boy, the rest of the world has caught up. So now there's a lot of technology that says, if you've got your data here and you want to mingle it with somebody else's data, we can do that. And some of that tech can do it, but it can do it in what we call a deterministic way. You can, if you've got an ID in both places, then you can do a match. Well, most people don't have an ID in both places. So what we're working on is, in this clean room environment, two sets of data can come in. EA has been a trusted partner to many brands in Canada, actually having us work on their first-party data. So we've set up an infrastructure. Some of it we're building in our own tech. For other parts, we've partnered with a Montreal firm called Optable, and we're building containers where, in a safe place, in a secure way, in a privacy-compliant way, we can help you blend your data with another party's data. We can use it to analyze customers and actually create audiences. If you can create a one-to-one audience because the consents and the permissions are there, then you do that. But when you look for expanding that audience, then maybe you do it by postal code, maybe you do it by segment, maybe you do it by market. So in these clean rooms, the algorithms that we've built for years around matching data and studying data are being available to be used by two organizations that wouldn't be able to work on each other's data in a different environment. And then, of course, coming out of our clean room, you can activate with the partners in the slide that I showed you before. And we're doing a tremendous amount of work with Bell Media to prototype this and build it out. But we're also working with others. So we're working with other publishers and other platforms so that we get this right. And we've had support and investment to do this, and it's a big priority for us. As I mentioned before, it's privacy compliant. And it is a Canada solution, because there are some anomalies about Canada that need to be taken into account. Privacy, yes, but also the way Canadians think. And the fact that we have tremendous Canadian content in TV and other media that we want to celebrate. Canadians want the best of both worlds. We want to be Canadian and have all of our Canadian traditions, and we also want to enjoy the entertainment and product offers and services that we get from the United States. So we're building a Canadian clean room system that works for Canada, but will be connected through APIs and partnerships to global systems. So as well as bringing in ID, the Smart ID from Bell, we're bringing in the Trade Desk UID 2, which we announced yesterday, that we're bringing that into our clean room services. And this ecosystem is going to enable us to help you with that attribution of who saw your ad, who came into your store, and who actually bought your product. If you bring your POS data, other kinds of CRM data into the clean room as well, then we get back to what I talked about before, which is that true end-to-end opportunity. So this is the first time for me. I said I should, put a picture of Dave Nichols, but most people in the room wouldn't remember who that was. The President's Choice spokesperson, which became such an iconic brand in Canada. But this is the President's Special that I'm offering to you today. I'm so excited about these new databases, and we've been working really hard to release them. But I want you to try Clickscapes and Footfall and New to Canada and Mover Stats. So conference special between now and the end of October, I'm expecting my salespeople to rush me and pull me off the stage, but 20% discount on a 6-month trial license. Have a go at it. These products make a big difference. Monthly, weekly reports, understanding what happened, and enabling you to really get a handle on how you can come out of this pandemic, how you can face economic challenges. That's all we're talking about. You know, oftentimes when we face difficult economic times, that's when people really dig into their research. And so if you've been thinking about working with some of these new products, now's the time, because we really want to get them out there. And because of course we want the business, but what we want more than that is we want to continue to build these kind of products. We need to know if they're what you're looking for. We've got, as I mentioned, a number of POCs in clean room going on. We have customers for these products already, but we want you to have the opportunity to work with them. So that's what I'm offering today. Finally, the question that you ask me all the time is, well, what about this Bell thing? You know, you sold the business, you and Michael Adams, you sold this business to Bell. Somebody said, oh my God, you joined the dark side. And so I really want to address that question right up front, why we thought it was a great idea to sell Environics Analytics to Bell, and then also give Bell the opportunity to explain why it was a good idea from them, what they wanted. To me, and then answering the question, how is it going so far? To me, it's going terrific. I wouldn't lie to you. It's been something that has enabled me as I guess they called me a pioneer, but it's enabled me to take my vision and our North Star. It's not just me, it's, you know, there's a collective of 12 people that started EA, but there's, you know, now I think 285 that really share the vision, and it's really making data available. So, you know, from Bell, we were looking to scale. We'd grow in the business to a certain extent, but we needed investment because we knew the opportunity was really there. And so we were looking for that backer and partner to help us fulfill that dream. But we also knew that they had a lot of data that could be really useful. So those were the things that were really appealing to me. But I also like to be a part of a team. I like to be a part of a collective. And the commitment that they made to being data-driven and to supporting our vision, they've made good on that. You know, we still provide services to the whole marketplace. They invest in what we're doing, and they've treated us extremely well. They've left our company as a separate company within the Bell family, operating sometimes at arm's length, but also collaborating on all this innovation and opportunity to do the things that we wanted to do. And their focus is on Canada. Their focus is on connecting Canadians. And although we still have some business in the US, which is very important to us, it's really hard to build Canadian solutions. And so I'm so appreciative of the partnership that we have with Bell to enable us to make Canada more data-driven and invest in all the things we want to do. So for the other side of the question, why did Bell decide to buy EA? I'm so pleased that I'm able to introduce to you today senior leader at Bell, Wade Osterman, who is the vice chair of Bell and the president of Bell Media, who's been a great partner to me all through this exercise. And I'm going to get Wade to come up now and give Bell's answer to that question of why the heck would you want to buy this data company?
Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's kind of nice to be here, but somewhat intimidating as well to be in a room full of data scientists and engineers and quantitative geographers. You know, I have to be honest, I'd heard rumor that a quantitative geographer was something real, but to have it confirmed here today, I'll tell you, you can't start a day better. And I really hope that I get a chance to meet some of you individually at the reception after the event, so looking forward to that. But anyway, so you've asked, and Jan set it up, why did Bell buy EA? Like, why would we do that? It's kind of a departure from our core business, and why would we do that? Well, it's really quite simple. You know, at Bell, we connect Canadians, and we connect Canadians to each other, to the information they need in their day-to-day lives, to great content in news and sports and entertainment, and to the products and services that they want through enhanced advertising in our Bell Media Group. We even connect and keep connected POS systems to the financial networks in this country, all of which are ours. Nobody got that? Keep POS systems connected? No? Okay. Never mind. But doing these things really requires great data. And interestingly, it also generates great data about the day-to-day lives of Canadians and the businesses in Canada. And so for us, like you, data needs to be turned into information and insights that we can use to run our business better. But that information has to be easy to use for it to make a difference. I think we would all know that. And as Jan outlined, EA has been providing data-driven solutions for decades. So, in fact, many of the people there have been 3-4 decades in the business and really mining data and generating the insights and turning that into actionable, things you can do. But we knew for us at Bell that in order to make the great data we have access to really useful, we needed a partner in the data business. It's kind of that simple. And in Canada, there was no other choice. It was EA or nothing. It literally had to be EA. So I don't know if people know this, but George Cope and I started a company called ClearNet way back when. We sold it for $6.6 billion. So, in doing that, you develop kind of an intuitive sense of value creation. And so I remember in March of 2020, I met with Jan. And immediately, I recognized this woman knows how to create value. And not just for EA, but for her clients. And that's far more difficult to do. But so recognizing, kind of a fellow entrepreneurial spirit, it literally took us only a couple of hours to reach agreement on the deal. And when I say that, I really mean it took Jan only a couple of hours to box my ears off. Because here's what she got. EA would continue to serve the whole Canadian market, not just Bell. EA would have access to all Bell data as inputs to their products. The EA leadership team would stay in place. EA would operate, as Jan mentioned, as an affiliate company, not to be broken up and rolled into Bell. And EA would be the cornerstone of our data strategy. It's pretty good. So by the end of that year, we were done. December 2020, we announced the deal. It's actually a very fast closing for us and in Canada. And so the question becomes, how's it going so far? And to me, it's going extraordinarily well. We collaborate on strategy, we collaborate on execution and really focus on that. It is the most important thing to both companies. There's a constant balancing between delivering to you what you need now and innovating for the future. And innovation is really the fun part of the business, right? So Jan, being a quick study and recognizing a successful strategy when she sees it, i.e. box Wade's ears off, literally, we're 5 months into the deal. That's it. We're barely starting to integrate. And she comes to me and says, I need much more. And this is not her wanting that. It's you wanting that. I mean, she speaks so strongly and so passionately about the needs of the EA client base. I wish you could hear it yourself, because you'd know then This is an organization we should put our faith in because we have a person who represents our interest first and foremost. But anyway, she came to see me and said, hey, look, I really want to put this thing on steroids. We got to do much more, much quicker. And so these are the 5 things I want to do. I want to produce more data faster. We need data that measures consumer behavior in weeks and months rather than annually. And I do remember saying to her, well, if you're going to go for weeks and months, why not go for minutes and hours? And what I got back is, Wade. You walk before you run. But trust me, someday we'll be running. So, okay, got it. Then, as you all know, a key role that EA plays in Canada is to use proprietary processes to project great survey data from partners to postal codes for hyperlocal marketing. And so those processes needed automating. Also need automation of the EA proprietary algorithms and workflows in our data development processes. And for this, both data scientists and programmers and technical staff and all the really highly skilled roles, we need to have more of those people to help us do more for our clients quicker. So that's number 1. Number 2, we need to build an analytics platform for the future. Kind of makes sense, as you heard. Skate to where the puck's going, not where it was. And for Environics, that means enhancing the Envision functionality. And really, to deal with scale, right? Data is exploding. We've all seen that. You now add the Bell data stream to what EA was already accessing. We need to ingest all those new data streams much more quickly to deliver results more quickly and more securely than we have in the past. The platform obviously needs to stay connected and be connected, providing the data and the insights and the analytics where you need them. We need to connect to other marketing apps, to ad tech, to the internal systems that our clients have, all through standard APIs. So need that. We wanted to give, the team wants to give both industry and in-house applications access not just to raw data, which is important, but to the math and the routines that provide the best results. So that's got to be on the list. And we also need to make sure that all that data gets to our clients with the reports and the outputs they need to take action quickly. And you'll hear more about that from Andrew and Teresa after lunch, and it's pretty cool stuff. So that's number 2. Number 3, we need to re-architect our EA data storage and retrieval systems. You know, we're a data company. We need one source of the truth. And that's a must foundational element. And we have to adapt our storage systems to accommodate multi-dimensional data, and fulfillment needs to be automated right from the master database. It's all stuff you don't really see, you know, but it happens behind the scenes, and it is what allows the 25+ releases a year to happen seamlessly, and it allows your system response times to be faster. And if you think about data structure and data files, I mean, they're completely different from what they were even 5 years ago, right? Things change frequently. So we need to adapt how we store and disseminate data. So that's 3, 4, and this is a really such a smart initiative, but we need to build an accessible Canadian data clean room. And that allows the integration of first-party data from clients, different parties, in a safe environment, advertisers, publishers, what have you. And to do that, we have to have 2 essential elements. Number 1, we need the best methods for the best quality insights, taking into account the uniquely Canadian data issues. And 2, we need to ensure that data is used in ways that respect the expectations of those who provide the data. In other words, it has to be privacy compliant, but more than just privacy compliant. And already a number of projects underway that go from insights to activations, to attribution, to measurement, happening inside those data clean rooms that Jan and her team have set up. Blends data, analytics, identifies resolution processes and attribution, as I said. And all these are compliant completely with existing privacy laws, but also, again, anticipate what's likely to happen with Bill C-27 and is ahead of that. So that's 4. 5. EA is in an incredible position to help clients with their analytics journey, and really it's true. The EA Industry Practices Group sees a need to beef up their capacity, their capacity to help you become more data-driven. And Jan talked about it a little bit. If you're not fully utilizing all of the products and insights that you can get from mining the data that Jan and her team deliver, you got to step up, because EA can help with stakeholder alignment, data access, integration, methodology assessment, developing a roadmap for the investments you make, bolstering industry teams, experts focus on segmentation, location intelligence, media mix optimization, activation of that media buy, from insights to activation and ROI measurements, recommending the best approach for your timelines and budgets, right? The things that matter to you. Ways for you to do it yourself, or to have EA do it all, or anything in between. It's all possible. So the group has added a number of C-level experts from industry and redeployed a number of internal resources to make all that happen. They're collaborating with existing account teams and clean room experts, all of it to add value to you and your businesses. And these initiatives really became part of a new 5-year plan that Jan talked to me about. You don't have to guess whether she was successful or not in convincing me of that, because, you know, she's pretty good at what she does. But it's really for what we call, or she calls, the EA Futures Lab Initiative. And that was announced at the last user conference, I believe. But we hired 50 data scientists and programmers over a 3-month period. And you would all know how difficult that is to do in the current environment, but pulled it off. And why? Because her clients insisted that they develop the products and services to the extent needed. So all those folks were distributed throughout the existing EA R&D infrastructure and deployment teams, bolstering the large contingent of people who were already there. And it allows just a better understanding of current methods and requirements of what's needed in the future. And together with the veterans that are already in the group, they are helping extend, and this is important, but the methodology, the science, the technology foundation behind EA data and analytics software. And you're already getting results from that work. Lots of new products, and Jan talked about it a little bit earlier, and 2023 has an extensive roadmap for further improvements, and all of these things will help increase the value your businesses derive from that. So we've stepped up, we've supported all of these initiatives. It's a 5-year plan, both CapEx and OpEx, to support EA scale-up. And obviously we do that because we recognize the value that data delivers to businesses, and so we see the opportunity for meaningful and substantial scaling up of EA. We're really happy to do it. In fact, it's exactly what we had in mind when we made the investment. But we need you to step up as well, right? We are in an environment where you know, and people have said it, data is the new oil and all that, but really think about it. If you don't have insights and your competitors do, 100% for sure you will lose. You need to be firmly in the lead on mining data. You just do. And so, the request is bring your agencies and other suppliers together in your own organization and collaborate with Jan and her team. It's crucial. Canada is a pretty small economic country in the world. And if we aren't smarter than the rest of the world, it's going to get tough. And smarts come from those data insights. And we have them. We have it all. So use it. Because I believe more than ever now that EA and Bell are a great partnership. And not just for us, not just for you, but in fact for Canada. Because if we work together and we leverage that data and do it in an intelligent, smart, privacy-compliant way, what we can achieve together is awesome. So I urge you to do it. Anyway, thank you. Jan, thank you for the opportunity. See you all at the reception.
Thank you, Wade. The partnership has really been something that's given us the opportunity to move so much further, so much faster. And I really think it was important for all of you to understand the extent to which the collaboration, the extent to which the support has been extended to us and our family. And I guess I'm a little bit vocal and demanding, but the truth is that it was part of a shared vision. Somebody said, really? That's Helen Thompson over there from Esri here. So it's been a great pleasure, and I really do appreciate the support over the years. Now, as we mentioned in my talk earlier, what we do absolutely is a partnership game. And what have I got going on here? No. Okay, I've screwed up. Okay, there you go, our partner of the year. Okay, so every year, I do apologize, that was clumsy of me, but every year we pick a partner, and we've had some amazing partners over the years. But this year, our EA partner of the year is MIQ, and I'm going to ask Jason to come up on the stage. For those of you who don't know MIQ, they're a service provider in the digital space that has been really just growing at an amazing pace around the world, an international company with a great team in Canada that has embraced using our data in their digital targeting strategy. They build audiences using Prism, help define audiences for advertiser, and they really promote the data-driven aspect of media buying. It's been absolutely amazing to work with them as they bring their skills to buying connected TV and in programmatic, and helping their customers with kind of an end-to-end solution that makes it easy to do all the things that Wade and I have been talking about. So in appreciation for the incredible collaboration, the team effort, and it's one of those relationships where we really roll up our sleeves and figure out what we can do together to make things better for you. So MIQ, the Environics Analytics Partner of the Year.
Thank you very much.
Do we have a picture? Okay, we'll get it off.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So much. You want to say?
No, I didn't prepare anything. This was a massive surprise. I'm on the next panel, so I don't have far to go. Just massively appreciate the partnership with Environics Analytics. Everyone that works on our business, from yourself, Evan, Andrea, Daryl, and the team, thank you very much.
Thanks.